Locally, record audio. Hello, hello. It says I'm live, so I'm going to believe what I see. Here we are, episode 2 of What is Your Why, where I introduce you to people who inspire me. And together we learn what drives their purpose and passion in hopes that inspiration is contagious and we can all catch some. So I'm Taylor, host. I'm happy to be here today, and I hope you're having a wonderful week. I just got back from traveling to Tampa where I got to go visit my best friend. And in Tampa, I discovered something called Gasparilla. I hope I'm saying that right, which apparently is slightly bigger than Mardi Gras, but much like it. It's a pirate festival. I don't know, you Tampa people tell me if that's something that sounds familiar to you. But today, I'm very excited to bring you someone that I met a couple years ago at the keto event that Dr. Jamie Seaman and Jay Morales had put on. He's a Navy SEAL, Thom Shea. And in just a few minutes that he gave me his time and attention, I walked away like, oh, I like that guy. And so I followed him on his podcast. I'm sad to say I've not read his book yet. I need to do that because he shares a lot of valuable warrior wisdom. And having grown up in the military, I'm just attracted to that warrior wisdom stuff, discipline and whatnot. I'd love to have more of it in my life, but I'm also a little bit of a slacker. So, best of both worlds there. But I don't want to hold this up any longer with rambling chit chat. So let's get started. Thom Shea, so great to have you.
I like the introduction. I'm also a slacker, so let's join hands.
Great. It's a yin and a yang, It's perfect balance.
Yeah, the misnomer is that SEALs or Marines or people that have been at war are always on point and moving forward. And there's examples like Dave Goggins out running 100 miles a day, and uh, none of that. It's all farce. Like the
I
off time is as important as the on time, and it's just when you have a lot of great experiences, you get hyper focused, and then you take months off. So that's the deal.
I am starting to just feel too old for discipline. I don't know if that's a thing, but so like a Monday through Wednesday, I'm super disciplined. By Thursday, not so much. By the weekend, I'm like, let's just take a nap. Let's just nap for a little bit.
I hate the word discipline. I really do. Like nowhere in the military is that discussed. It's kind of a topic on the outside. Like even all the Marines that I fought with, they don't use the word discipline.
Mhm.
And really what it is what do I have to do that has to get done, whether I enjoy it or not. So probably in the Marine Corps, it's a lot of non-enjoyable things, but in the teams, what are the necessary, I call them non-negotiable things that you have to do to be either a SEAL or a mom, and making them part of your life. So I hate the word
Right.
discipline. Discipline actually means punishment. Did you know that? I don't
I
want to
lived
punish
I
myself
lived
every day.
look, I lived a life of discipline. Yes, I know exactly what
It's
it means.
punishment. Yeah, yeah.
I was grounded a lot as a child growing up in the Marine culture. But yes, I see what you're saying there, and I would agree that moms and SEALs have a lot in common when it comes to
100%.
getting stuff done.
Yep.
Both would die, for children, for their purpose, their cause. Yeah, I'm very excited, like I said, to sharing you with my platform, with my viewers, followers, friends, and family, because I just had that brief interaction with you at the Keto Summit
Mhm.
just a couple years back. One of the things we had the chance to talk about was we both had children entering into aviation. Of all things, my son had just gone into the Air Force, and he's now a C-130J pilot down at Little
Mm.
Rock. And your daughter became a pilot, right?
Yeah, she graduated West Point, I think maybe 3 years ago, and she became an Apache pilot, and she's doing really well. And what I like most about it is something that I'd never done in the military. So there's no comparison. So she talks, aviation, and I talk SEAL stuff. And I had the opportunity to go out to Kansas when they were doing like a bombing range and a gun range,
Yeah.
and it took me right back to Afghanistan. Same smells, same sounds, and I got to talk her onto one of these targets
Oh,
because
really?
and I darn near came to tears. I'm like, wow, who would have thought years later I'm talking my daughter who's flying an Apache like all the Apaches that supported us in Afghanistan, and now it's my
That's
daughter.
amazing.
So it
That's
was crazy.
incredible. Yeah. I can kinda relate to that. First of all, yeah, I never would have made pilot school, pilot training back in the day because every simulator I've been in, I've crashed. So there's that.
Get dizzy,
So yeah. No, I'm just a really bad pilot. I
power
was
all the
even
way
with
down to the ground, see what happens.
Look, I was even in the B-2 stealth bomber simulator with the base general several times, and every single time I was in there with him, I crashed it, and I was just like, "Sir, see, this is why I don't fly." But I managed to raise a son who I mean, the second that kid could walk and talk, he knew he was gonna be a pilot, and
Mm,
then, like, at a very young age, we would go into a simulator. He'd be flying the simulator, and I'd be like,
yep.
"Son, let me have a turn." And he'd be like, "No, you're gonna crash it." I'm like, "Just let your mom have a turn. I know what I'm doing." And then, yeah, I'd crash it, and he'd be like, "See, I told you." But, yeah, I just got to go down to Little Rock a few months back, and they had their air show.
Mm,
And, like, the first time I saw my son take off in a C-130, I, again, brought to tears because here's
mhm.
something he talked about doing his whole life, and now I'm watching him do it, and I was just beside myself with joy from a mother standpoint, but you get this, right? But also, like, the airman standpoint, the soldier standpoint of, like, looking at, your brother, sister in arms here doing
Mhm.
their thing and succeeding, and, I there's no way nobody would let me on the radio to call him in. I would love to be like, "Son, this is your mom. Out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's time to come home." He'd kill me, but he understands how much I love flying, and so randomly, I get these really awesome videos and it's not the worst view from an office, he was up in Alaska, and he sent me some video, flying up there, casually dropping in that the aurora borealis was everywhere
Yeah,
around him, and I was like, "Oh my god, did that blow your mind?" He was like, "I was too busy flying." I was like, "Come on, can't you just give me a little bit of joy? How cool was
yep,
that?
yep.
You're living my dream," and, some videos of him dropping tanks and stuff, or then the reality of, like, he's working with the army and he's out there dropping soldiers, and,
Mhm.
he has deployed once already, so I'm bragging, dude, I your
Yeah,
platform, but I just
absolutely.
man, I'm so excited for you and your daughter as well. It is funny, I have no relation to him flying at all, but I sure when he's, like, talking about where he's been, I was like, "Well, I went to Italy," so you know, he's been
Yep.
everywhere already in his short time in the military, but anyways, you got a proud mom talking here.
Hey,
That's a whole show in
keep it
itself.
going.
Oh my gosh. No, I'd love to see some, pictures though of your daughter and
Yeah.
her Apache. Man, that would be
I
incredible.
she won't let me post any. She's
Yeah.
trying out for, Task Force 160, and they have to be without social media in their name for a year.
Oh,
So,
good. Then nobody needs this stuff. But hey, I'm going to bring a friend of mine into this little talk too. John Schwab here is a high school friend of mine, and he helped me on the first episode. So, John Schwab, how are you doing, sir?
I'm okay. How are you guys? I'm slightly late to the party. I apologize, Taylor. I've been kicked out of my studio by my son, who's practicing for some playing tomorrow in London. So I'm just hanging out casually in the kitchen.
So Tom John makes a great co-host here when he shows up on time. Okay, tick.
yeah, see,
Noted.
discipline is real.
Noted. Thank
Oh,
you for proving the point, John.
oh, I'm so
um,
embarrassed right now. Yeah.
But here's what's so great. This is what John brings to the picture. Number one, he does live in London, which is a great thing for me because I got a place to stay when I go there. Number two, we're military brats, so we grew up both in the Corps. So one of the discussions we have is how we didn't choose this life; it was chosen for us. And number three, I almost forgot what number I was on. John's also an actor who has played in military roles and currently is coming out in Masters of the Air, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Masters of the Air, all about flying. I was listening to because I was in the air today. I was flying a bit today as well. It was the first day that weather has permitted me to fly in London, so I went out. So it kind of put me off schedule a little bit. It was so I literally I may have driven a little fast to get home.
No worries, man. Let's pick this Navy SEAL's brain. Thom Shea,
Yeah.
I have familiarity with you, so that's going to help me. But I wanted to bring in somebody who doesn't have familiarity with you, just to have some fun conversation here. So let's start with the beginning here. Let's go back. Where were you born and raised?
Oh my God. And my sign is Gemini.
Good.
uh,
I need a background. I need to know what were your
yes,
social dynamics like as a child.
I grew up in a little small farming town called Brookville, Indiana, southeast Indiana. I think during the greatest time that kids could grow up in America, which was the late 60s and early 70s. And because adults were, hey, don't come in until the street lights are out. There's no cell phones. You're out doing whatever you could get your hands on. Most of it was mischief. And I became very, very outdoorsy and inclined to that, which then brought me into the military because I couldn't find a way to make a living going to school, and that wasn't appealing. So I had an idea in my head to cowboys and Indians and
Right.
how do you get paid to do that in the military?
Did you have brothers and sisters?
I have an older sister, about 3 years older, and yeah.
And then, did you grow up around family? So Brookfield, how close is that to Louisville?
An hour, maybe 2 hours or so. It's about
'Cause I
35
don't want to
minutes.
say we could be related, but I'm from New Albany.
I know where it
I
is.
was,
Yeah.
I was born there. That's it.
Yeah.
And I went to MEPS in Louisville, so we're practically family. See how this
Yeah, yeah.
works? So did you grow up with relatives all around you, like going to grandparents and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, my mom was last of 11. So
Ooh.
we're like every weekend, which I actually loathe now, is, hey, let's go over to Aunt whoever's house and uncle. I'm like, God, I just want to do something myself. But big family. My dad was not necessarily from a big family, but very family inclined. And I don't know if that was helpful for my life, but I actually
Did you
wanted to
have
do my own
anybody
shit.
there? Oh yeah. Did you have anybody there in your family who sort of had time in the military or had war stories
I would
or
say
something?
80%.
Yeah.
So my dad was a West Point grad. He was an artillery officer. I grew up next door neighbor to a guy who was, they were called like construction battalions. They were actually precursors to the SEALs. He was one of the first guys on Iwo Jima as a SEAL.
Wow. That was your
Wow.
neighbor?
And what was that?
That was your neighbor?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I grew up listening to his stories, and nobody liked him but me, and he liked me, and that became like this way. I call it, where you get your first injection of what you think manhood is.
Mhm.
Women have the same thing, as this epitome of a man who represented something to me that I thought was pretty cool. And that was probably the sole reason I became a SEAL, was growing up next to this guy.
That's very interesting.
Amazing.
I can't imagine the history, the stories that he shared with you, and the wisdom that he must have passed along to you. Because
Well,
I
he
know
would
that you
pass
don't
it
just one
along.
day.
He wouldn't pass it along like a fireside chat. We'd go do stuff that I couldn't do, and he would relate stories, combat stories that even my dad had never heard. But like for instance, he would take me hunting and said, I'm going to teach you how to hunt. So the first thing you have to do is with a slingshot. You have to kill a squirrel with a slingshot. So frustration and trying to practice, and I missed about 20 of them and got disillusioned, threw the slingshot down. And he said, you can't come over anymore until you kill a squirrel with a slingshot. So I finally got one, brought it over to him. He goes, okay, now I'll teach you more. He said, that's how that's how we learned in the UDT is you learn the basics first, and then you just expand on that. And then he would tell me a cool story, and I remember tons of his cool stories. He was captured on the island of Vela La Vela, which is one of the small islands in the island hopping campaign. And he and his swim buddy were captured. They were taken to the center of the island and tied their hands behind their back, and he had his feet skinned from above the ankle.
Oh my God.
Because they didn't think he would run. So he and his buddy could still run, and the guards weren't watching. So they get up and run about a mile to the shore. And he said that wasn't the hardest part. Getting in the salt water was darn near catastrophic.
Oh my God.
And they'd cut their bindings, and they swam 5.5 nautical miles out to get the minesweepers and that then became the 5.5 nautical mile swim for the SEALs because of him.
Wow.
And then when I went through it myself, I'm like, that was the most miserable swim on the planet. Thanks, Pat.
With all skin intact, though.
With
right?
all your skin, I was gonna say you had.
He's like, tell me how hard it was. Tell me, was it hard?
He became an All-American running back after that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's crazy the stories of they're probably not great stories when you experience them, but to hear what people are capable of doing. Then there's the rest of us who can't get out of bed,
I think it's because we are losing that primal, that access to the primal side of us, which is, it's
go
fight
for
or
it.
flight, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's fight or flight. Like losing the ability to fight for our lives. Like I think depletes us. I mean, you put like a tiger in a cage or whatever, and you take away its hunting ability, and you're just feeding it or whatever.
Yep.
It changes them. And I think just generationally speaking, as we've become more comfortable, this is all just me making stuff up. Just let's preface this with this is for entertainment purposes only.
Not factual.
Not factual. This is just my naive corner of the world here. But we've taken away like our survival instincts, I think. And I think that plays a part of it. So yeah, to get in those situations where we have to thrive or die, I don't know that we know how to tap into that anymore, which is
I guess every time you get flying, you either fly all the time, you don't enjoy much of it. Because my daughter says the same thing that your son says is you're always flying when you're up in the air. There's not a lot of enjoyment because you have to keep flying this thing that does not want to stay in the sky. And that's I don't know if it's the primal instinct of what I was saying offline is, that's what I think success is, burn all bridges.
Mm-hmm.
If you decide to do something, there's no other alternative. Go for it. If it takes 100 years, it takes 100 years. And I wish all humans had that. It makes a big difference. Like, don't have multiple things and then side bets and hustles and then main efforts and hustles and all that stuff. I think it diminishes what you can do.
Right. Okay.
Like even in a marriage, imagine if I had 18 girlfriends and I was married. My wife gets nothing. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
As I've observed your wife, I don't think you'd make it to 2, but that's okay. We can pretend like you
it's okay.
Right. Like I said, I think she might be more vicious than you.
She's ruthless. Yeah.
But okay, so incredible childhood exposure here, growing up. At what point do you decide you're going to join the SEALs, and then like what was the process to get there?
Oh, I have the worst, as you call it, process or non-linear way to do anything. So I went to West Point. So out of high school, I was a heavily recruited football player and turned down a full ride to Tennessee to go to West Point. So I ended up playing ball at West Point for 3 years, and I failed out in English, which I think is the coolest story ever. How can somebody fail out in English and then write, national best-selling books? Not because I'm good at it, it's because I can put my head down. So, and then I went back to Pat, the guy I grew up with at SEAL, and he said, now you're at the bottom. What is it that you want to do? I'm like, Pat, I always wanted to be a SEAL. And he goes, if you don't sign up right now, you'll lose your identity. You'll just wander.
Mhm.
And I'm like, damn, Pat, man, I don't know how to swim. He goes, you'll figure out how to swim when you sign up. And come to find out, that's the truth. So once I signed up, I'm like, man, now I have to learn how to swim. So then I get into the program, if you want to call it the program. I make it to my first class 195, and make it to Hell Week and got a concussion. And so then they turned me back to the beginning again. So I had to start one day, and made it to Hell Week again and dislocated my shoulder.
Oh my
They're
Lord.
like, dude, you got to start again. And so I got to heal, and I started class 198, having missed 197 or skipped, and made it to Hell Week again, got pneumonia. And they're like, hey, either quit or start over. I'm like, God damn, I don't know if I can't start over because I don't know what to do with pneumonia. I can't even do 5 push-ups. And they're like, well, you don't have to take the entrance test, but you get a week to heal, and then we're starting again. So I started my 4th class, made it to Hell Week, and then ended up in the hospital unconscious. And they about kicked me out of the military because I had scar tissue in my lungs from months of pneumonia.
Mm.
And I was kicked out of the program and spent 9 months as a corpsman working in the Naval Hospital, San Diego. And I went to the Admiral's office every day and asked him to send me back. And he said no for 9 straight months. And I always think that it was on a Monday or a Friday that he accepted me, or he came out on a Friday and said, you're either the dumbest guy in the world or you were meant to be a SEAL. And he signed me to go back. And I was back on that next Monday. And, then we started out with 100. Yeah, that's a lot there. Sorry.
Let's not glaze over this part. First
Okay.
of all, let's go all the way back to the beginning. You've just arrived to SEAL training.
Yeah.
Day 1. Tell me what that felt like.
It's probably
Was it
filtered
everything
now.
you've seen in the movies?
Not even close. So, everybody there is really a good athlete, like a really all around capable swimmer, runner, calisthenics. Some are really high end, some are medium end, but to get there, you have to do 90 push-ups, 90 sit-ups, 12 pull-ups, and run and swim. So you're already one of the 4 percentile humans. And everybody's excited to be there until you start training. And then once training starts, there's a mass exodus of people who thought it was going to be other than it is.
Mhm.
And it's there, I don't think it's like the Marine Corps. It's, they don't really yell at you. They may yell a little bit to excite you, but they realized long ago yelling doesn't get anybody to do anything, and they want you to quit, so they don't really care.
Mhm.
So the cadre doesn't care about you. The evolutions that you do take care of everything. So, and the first day of training, on paper, it's 25 push-ups, 25 sit-ups, a bunch of athletic stuff at the number of 25. In reality, it's 500 of everything, because they'll get to 20 and start over, and get to 10 and start over. And it just builds and builds and builds. And every day is not possible. It's very difficult to get through each day there. And
I think I saw a shirt that said the only good day was yesterday.
Yeah. Because it's over. It's done. And today is
Yeah.
not going to be fun. Like you don't really enjoy anything like true enjoyment until about 2 weeks after Hell Week, where you're like, man, okay, I can breathe now.
Mm-hmm.
And
What is your mental focus during all of that? What was your self-talk like in just the first few days, the first week, and then going through 5 weeks of Hell Week? What kind of self-talk did you have at that point?
I think it evolved from shitty self-talk to when I finally made it back in, it was quite different. So then I became an instructor and taught 15 Hell Weeks. So I can't quite remember what it was in the beginning. I can tell you what happened later.
Mhm.
Once you realize that nobody fucking cares about you, nobody cares about you. Either you're going to do it or you leave. That's the deal. And you can't, they don't teach teamwork. They really don't, because we started out with 111 kids in my final class and graduated 11. It's not that the 11 were
Wow.
teammates. It's that they just stopped giving up on anything.
Mhm.
And so why people, it's more, you probably need to ask the question, why do people quit?
Yeah.
So people quit because they thought it was going to be one thing and it's not. And
Expectations.
people quit because, oh my God, I can't do this. And it's getting harder. So instead of sticking around, they just go, well, I'm out because I can't even do day one. Day two is supposed to be harder. And then if you make it to day 4, the next day of training is called drown proofing. And we mean drown proofing. Yeah. Learn to hold your breath underwater and swim 50 meters. And you see people in training pass out underwater and you're like, oh hell, I'm out. So the mind is really 90% of all SEAL training.
Yeah.
And you don't have the proper mindset until after Hell Week. And the proper mindset is I promise to be here and I'm just going to make it to lunch, make it to dinner, make it to breakfast, make it the next hour. So that's really the most successful mindset in the SEAL teams that they want you to have. Stop worrying about the past, stop worrying about the future, what's right here in front of you, and do the best you can. Even if it's not as what you think is you could do.
Mm-hmm.
Get down and do. So if I told you to do 1,000 push-ups, how many people would try? They just wanted to see the person who can't even get down to try one to get down and try one.
Right.
And how you would call that a mindset. It's I'm not gonna give up.
All
I don't
right.
care if
So
I can do it.
let's go ahead, John.
Can I jump in and say, I mean, going through it 4 times and into your 5th, were there instructors, were there, the course leaders that were there going, oh shit, it's Thom Shea again. Like he's,
Yeah.
and because if I see somebody coming back again and again and again, that's the kind of person that I want next to me on any of my rides.
Mm-hmm. It didn't occur to me until the 3rd class. So the first class, I was just a number. They let you roll without question if you're injured, if you can recover. So then I dislocated my shoulder, and a guy named Mike Mayer a chief named Mike Mayer came to the hospital, and he said, well, here's the deal. We never allow somebody a second roll. But you're doing really well physically and we can't get you to quit. So we're going to offer you to quit right now or to stay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I can't even lift my arm. Like, we're going to give you 2.5 months to recover and then you can come back. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to quit. He goes, okay. So get the 2 months, recover, and then come
What's
back.
happening during those 2 months, though? Like, what's your mindset during those 2 months? Because it would be very
I'm
easy
a
to just get
loser.
real comfortable.
Yeah.
No, I'm a loser. This probably isn't the right thing. Friends or like friends from back home were like, man, you gave it a try. Why don't you come home, work on a farm? Parents were not supportive. And as a mom, you don't want to see your kids fail and fail and fail and fail. So I recognized that the world that I'd constructed around me wasn't supporting me staying. So I kind of isolated myself, which is probably tragic. I said, I'm not going to talk to anybody who's a naysayer. So I got rid of everybody who was probably better advice than staying. Dude, you just dislocated your shoulder. You concussed your head. You're going to die next class. I'm like, it's so fragile. Don't talk to me. And a lot of down times because I didn't feel like I'd be able to make it back in. And that Pat, the guy who'd been a SEAL, and all he said was, remember, the only thing that they're looking for is somebody who makes a promise and keeps it.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I can't keep it. They're like, don't quit. Just don't quit. Whether you think you can do it or not, just keep trying the next day. And then I did it. And I made it into the third class. Everything was going good. Like I felt great up until I didn't.
Yeah.
And then I was like, damn, dude. And Mike Mayer walks up to me in the hospital after the third class and said, I know you're not going to quit, but no, everybody is betting against you. There's a there's a financial money pool, $100 in the pool, and there's probably $4,000 in the pool, and everybody's saying you can't make it. And he goes, I'm putting $100 in that you'll make it.
Amazing.
And I was like, I can't breathe, bro. Like I struggled that fourth class. I didn't pass anything the fourth class. And they just kept allowing me to stay, which they probably shouldn't have. And then where I would say I got a firm mindset that was kind of ironclad was the 9 months of preparing to go back. And I read the book that Draper Kaufman wrote, the guy who designed Hell Week back in 1937. And one phrase that sticks out that I now teach everybody is what he said to the graduates post Hell Week of the first Hell Week. The only thing we're looking for is people who won't quit. And now we've given you everything, the lowest lows that you'll ever have. And they've always had 11% graduation since then.
All right. I want to pause you right there, and I want to show just a little bit of clip if I can make this work correctly. So hold on. I want to see if I can show something here. Pretty sure it's this one.
I had personally been blown up by a rocket and was laying face down on the ground, feeling the impossible weight of leadership. I was in pain. I was tired. I felt alone. All I heard my body saying was, this is it. It's over. And I remember experiencing a calm that most people never get to experience. I could hear all the bullets hitting. I could see bullets in front of me landing on the ground, and I couldn't move. And then I heard my wife, Stacy, say, don't fear dying. It makes you weak, and fight your way home. And in that moment, my life changed. I stood up. I got back engaged. I got my body armor back on, put my helmet on. I went up next to the window that I could see out of, and a sniper from about 638 yards away took a shot and just missed my eye. My impossible task is I had to kill the sniper who had me pinned down in the room. The only way I could do that was to expose myself and pull the trigger before he could pull the trigger. The only problem is I pulled it about a second before he did, and he shot my helmet off. And as exciting as that is, I had to do it again to confirm that I had actually made the impact. So in the second time that I had to shoot at the sniper was when I had given up on myself. I had said to Stacy in my mind that I'll never see her again, but this is my only solution, was to shoot the guy. So I went back, I exposed myself again and shot several times and found out that my first round had actually hit him. But what I'd learned from that has been transcendent for me. I had given up and my body had given up. And the only thing that changed for me was my wife saying, "Don't fear dying, it makes you weak, and to fight your way back to us." That changed me. What was so
All right. Wow, right? Who you surround yourself with matters, and words matter.
True.
I watched that piece over and over again because you said you were done, right?
Yep.
Mentally, physically, you were done.
Yeah, if it hadn't, that's the wisdom of Draper Kaufman. I think that man has changed more human beings than any man ever in the history of mankind. And very few people know that. He put a condition for human beings on the table to pre-experience the worst parts of your life so that you can learn to take the next step on the brink of utter doom. And that's why I think the SEALs are one of the probably the premier fighting unit in the world. It's because they all have already hit rock bottom.
Mm.
Every one of them, every SEAL you meet has already seen the lowest person that they could ever be. And they keep rallying no matter what.
Right.
No other military unit allows their people to hit that catastrophic low. Like in the air,
I think a lot of
as a
people feel
pilot,
like
that would be like wrecking 80 jets.
or losing one very expensive jet accidentally.
Yeah. Or losing one. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I know that when we get to that point of utter failure, of just being so done, and I kind of hit that place a few years ago. Like literally, you have nothing left
Nothing.
to think because you're not even capable at that point of even imagine any other scenario out of this.
Yep.
Because I think that you and I, and very similar, John, and many other people, like our minds are constantly adapting to the situation and creating a new a new objective, a new hurdle over this. We can do it, but then when you run out of it, then like what is that thing that pulls you back from over the edge? And to hear that was your wife was incredible. I followed her as well on social media, and she's just as strong, powerful, warrior minded as you are. To be somewhere halfway around the world and just you feel her spirit like that is incredible.
I mean, one of my favorite sayings is the opposite of fear is not courage, it's faith. And I think that having that faith that you were going, that was, there was someone calling you home, like saying, listen, don't be afraid, fight through it and you'll fight your way home. You'll get here, by hook or by crook.
But that was your why, right? What is your why? What was your
Yeah.
why for standing up that one more time? And your why was I have
Are
to
you
fight my
asking
way
me?
home, right? Yeah. No, I'm just in
Yeah.
awe. I am in awe of it because I can only imagine what that moment felt like for you.
So, as a kid or a student, in buds, it's not clear. It seems like if I just keep trying, things will work out. And then what John said, if you have faith, things will play out. They will play out. And then in combat, you recognize that things probably won't play out. What do you do then? What do you do going into a mission where you're probably not going to make it, which was the Draper Kaufman phenomenon? Will you still go? Even though, like on Iwo Jima, they sent in 38 SEALs, and 8 made it out.
Mhm.
So what happens if you, which is now as an adult, something that anybody can learn, what becomes possible if you stop fucking quitting? Stop quitting.
Yeah.
Stop having a reason why you're not going to go do what you said you would do. From a marriage vow to playing the guitar. If I promise to play the guitar for a year, how many people would play it, even strum it? They won't. So what would happen if you just did the simple, I made a promise and I'm going to do my best to keep it, even if I just pick up the guitar using that analogy.
Mhm.
The whole world changes if you stop quitting. It
Right.
doesn't mean you'll ever arrive there. It doesn't guarantee an
Yeah.
arrival, but quitting guarantees you will never, ever
Right.
arrive.
Yeah.
Are
Like
we just looking for
I can quit on
guarantees, do you
Stacy.
think?
I can quit on my kids. I can quit
Yeah.
on business. I guarantee it all stops right there. If I don't
Yeah.
quit, I don't know what's going to happen, but it ain't what's going to happen if I quit.
You have that choice in a moment, don't you, Tom? That is,
Mhm.
it's you were talking about picking up a guitar for a year, or just if you can't. I find it, if I can't think that far ahead. I have too many things going on in my head anyway to go in for a year. But if I do it right now, if I make the decision right now and do it right now, and for one day, just go, if there's also a thing, if I'm going to quit, I'll quit tomorrow. I'll quit tomorrow. So I'll give myself that. It's like I'll give myself the permission to stop tomorrow. And then usually when I wake up, I'm like, oh, I'm fine. All right. Well, and you do that tomorrow, again, and tomorrow. Where if I could think of something that I would hate to do for a year, but I could do it for a day and not stopping, not quitting on something. Listen, I'm going to be really open here. After 2-3 years of marriage, I was on tour, right? My wife and I weren't seeing each other. And it was just one of these things where, and this is nothing like Tom, this is nothing like what you went through. But the option was, we're not getting along great. We could stop the marriage. We could give up, like you say. And I was like, that's the easy thing. It would be such an easy thing. And we loved each other too much, but it was there. The option was there. I was like, oh my God, we can't. That would be ridiculous to stop something, but it was easy. That was the easy choice. And no one would have said, oh, what are you doing? They would have gone, fair enough. You were young. We got married when we were 21, engaged at 19. We're 30 years married this year. The easy thing would have been, you guys were young. You didn't know what you were doing when you got married. It's cool that you gave up. And we sat in a bathtub together going, what are we doing? Even contemplating this. We stick with it, you work it out. And 30 years later, we're strong. We're family is strong because of the not quitting through. And Taylor, we've been through as a family, not quitting on each other is exactly why we're as strong as we are.
But I think the thing
you're
is,
right.
we are pleasure-seeking creatures here. So when the majority of us are seeking pleasure and comfort, the easy way out is the best option, I guess.
Like we were talking before we got on, Taylor, it's what people are being socially driven towards is pleasure, or the notion of pleasure, the easy way out. Don't do something difficult. If somebody yells at you, cry foul. And then I was like, hey, I always look at it this way. There was a promise not being kept somewhere. So I didn't do what I said I was going to do, which is it's the precursor to quitting. Make a promise and then don't quit. So if I make a promise to you, my responsibility as a human being is to keep that promise. But then we're taught, everybody's like, this isn't right for you. It's too difficult. Maybe you decided wrong. Maybe you're doing it for the wrong reasons and all that shenanigans. I know who you are and then stop doing anything else that isn't correlate to that.
So this, again, not comparing anything to your situation, but just, I did the 50-mile march with Jamie and all those guys. I did it a couple times. And that first stretch, you're all gung ho because you're like, look what we're doing. We're doing this. It's so great. And we're all high on adrenaline and stuff. But after that first stretch, the whole rest of the night is
It sucks.
not like that.
Yeah.
Then get to the break of dawn, where it's now becoming the most arduous part of this march,
Yep.
and you are completely broken down. Now you're getting to the core of who you are and what you stem from. And one of the things I remember in my self-talk, I kept saying, I'm going to quit. I'm done. I don't need this crap. And then I would look around at the people that were surrounding me, and they were suffering too. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to quit on them. Like, they're not quitting. I'm not going to quit. So like John said, I'll make it to the next stretch and then I'll quit. And then the self-talk became like, oh man, everybody has always quit on me. Everybody that I depended on quit on me. Okay, well, now let me ask you this question. You going to quit on yourself? You made a promise to be here. And yeah, it's really hard, but like you're still moving. And like the self-talk became some otherworldly Thom Shea in my head going like,
well, if I would inject something of value to this, even though there's millions of books that are read or written about self-talk, the master doesn't have self-talk. So people who are exceptionally good at anything don't listen to the jargon in their head. Mm-hmm. From somebody who's, really great at a guitar, they don't listen to the shit that goes on in their head. They don't want to play anymore. They really don't. I've played this fucking song 100,000 times. I don't want to play it the next time. So self-talk was probably the most, it's a criminal conversation to have.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's negative. Sometimes I'm thinking about boobs when I'm doing something. So my self-talk is not correlate and usually not supportive. Mm-hmm. And until you've done something demonstrably difficult, you realize, oh my gosh, I'm my biggest non-ally.
Yeah.
The thoughts in my head are never correlate to what I'm doing, ever. And then eventually you realize, oh, it's just a movie. It's a song playing in my head. It's either helpful or not, but I'm still, going to keep going even in a marriage. The self-talk in a marriage that's going down isn't supportive. It isn't, oh, we're such loving. It's like, she's a bitch. She cheated, he cheated. Can we start tomorrow as if yesterday didn't happen? And can we move forward with something? But the self-talk is, I told you so. She's wrong. She stinks. Her hair's the wrong color. If only she was. And all that self-talk, I wish the books would just die.
I know that you gave a speech on the I am, and I've heard somebody else talk about that too. And the I am statement is really powerful, and one that I kind of hold myself to. And one of the things I heard said, and forgive me for not having the name of the guy that said this, was the words that follow I am follow you. And you give a very similar speech on that. Will you elaborate for us a little bit?
The I am statement, whether this is kosher to the conversation or not, God's real name is Yahweh, and the distinction that Yahweh is the sentence called I am that I am. So in line with that topic, whoever you say you are, that's true. So be careful who you think or say you are. If you say you are a bad mom, you are correct. If you say you are a great mom, you are also correct. But you got to keep saying it. So whoever you distinguish yourself to be, you will prove out.
Right.
So I don't know if it follows you.
And one of the things, right. And one of the things I was thinking about this morning during my early morning workout was just that, like, I was thinking, because I wanted to ask you about that. And I monitor my I am statements, and I try to with people around me as well. But I thought, most of us walk around going, I am so stupid. I am such a loser.
Yep.
I this, I that. I'm so fat. But would be so offended if somebody was to say that to them. Right? I could sit here and go, I'm so fat. But if you were to be like, you were so fat, I would be so offended.
Yeah.
And so, like, we're our greatest offender when it
Yep.
comes to the kind of damage we do to ourselves. When we hold the power to love ourselves the most and create the world that we want for ourselves, because we participate in every decision that creates this world by either making a forward acknowledgement of and making that decision for ourselves, or allowing other people to make it, but you still participated in it. Yeah.
Yeah, when you start listening to when the words I am, so the four being words is, are, am, and be. So anytime you hear them being said, watch how they're being said.
Right,
So like
exactly. That's the greatest telltale of a person.
how parents talk to their kids. Junior, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You are an idiot. This isn't for you. It's 98% of the time when you hear those words or that the four being verbs said, it's negative.
Yeah.
You could have said anything. It's up to you. Junior wrecks the car. Tell him he's a great driver. You are a great driver. Tell him he's a shitty driver. He'll prove it again.
Right.
And it's so difficult to catch yourself. And like,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
I just told my wife she is an idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
Right.
you are fat, or you are not athletic.
Right.
And then they'll
And
live into that space. You tell your
and-
kids they're not capable, you're distinguishing who they are for themselves.
And I think a lot of other things that people don't realize is like, they don't reflect and ask themselves, where is this message coming from that plays on loop, right? Well, mind your ears, mind your eyes, mind your mouth, mind the people that you're around, because you're looking at Instagram all the time and you're getting all these subliminal messages, and that feeds into your self talk, your view of yourself, and what's coming externally out of you. And just to be so disciplined enough to just say, I don't want to participate in that. I don't want that junk in my presence. We're so willing to just passively participate, turn on the TV and take the messages in, and then scrolling through all this stuff, putting all that poison, not even just into us, but then I worry what that impact is on this new generation of children who have grown up with these exposures. I think pornography used to be the greatest exposure that terrified parents, that your kid would see pornography. And it's so far beyond that even being the worst thing they could be
It's like our
exposed
debt.
to
It's
now.
so big. It's so free. Yeah. Pornography and the national debt are at the same level.
It's just so horrible to see how this is impacting children now, and more than ever, we do need to get to teach I think our children how to have strong mindsets, how to have warrior thinking, how to rise above what society is pushing out there, because it is pushing comfort, it is pushing have everything, it's pushing don't suffer. If you suffer, just go get remarried. If you suffer, just go do something else instead of stick with it.
The funny part about where the world is, because of whatever reason or excuse that it's getting soft, no better time in world history than now, because there's no competition for the top.
Oh my gosh.
It's easier to be successful now than any other time in history. And so the bottom is filled. It's very competitive. Who wants to be last place?
Yeah.
Use social media to reflect stuff and compete for last place. That's what the world is competing for, is last place. So if you just have any drive, if you do anything more than 8 times, you'll be successful.
All
It's
right.
very easy to any business, anything.
I love that, Tom. That is so good. That is such a positive message. I'm going to actually take that to my kids tonight and tell both of them, like, there's never been a better time
Never
to be successful and it's taking the the Navy SEAL way of life, the thinking of don't quit, don't let yourself quit. I still think the reward, the endorphins you get from completing something like that's so far out of, aim for the 15th step to reach the 10th is what my dad told me. Just do it. Just those stretch goals in life, aim for it, because you get so much satisfaction from it. So much.
I tell you what, you don't feel. You don't feel depressed. You don't feel depressed when you've accomplished that hard
You feel
thing.
tired.
No, tired. Good.
But that first time I completed 50 miles, what I felt in myself grew me. I stretched beyond I stretched well beyond my comfort zone.
I keep inviting you to come and do our 24-hour, but no,
I knew we weren't going to make it past
my
this.
guitars are too heavy.
Tom, where is this event, this 24-hour event?
We do 2 a year here in Greenville, South Carolina.
Because I have such an affinity with Greenville, because that's where my grandfather, my hero, Papa Schwab, like I have so much family in Greenville. I often travel through Greenville. So
John, if you do it, I'll do it. We'll do the 24-hour challenge.
I'm down. Like, seriously, I'm down for it.
I wrote, you were probably going to ask this, Taylor, but during that 2009 deployment, I really left not thinking I was going to come back.
Right.
And it was clear between Stacy and I, the odds are not great. It's not, having been a veteran of so many wars, this was war. I knew I was going into it, and I was the dumbass leader. So I had to go on every mission, and I had to design the missions. And if anything fucked up, it was me.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, how many good choices can I make? And it was really tense. And so Stacy said, hey, write down letters to us and lessons to us, so that if you die, I can pass on to the kids something of you that I don't know. So ended up writing a book about my experience of being a man, being a leader, being a SEAL, being, all the shenanigans that were going on. And the first lesson, or the third lesson I wanted the kids to learn, because of something that had happened in combat, was do something for 24 hours straight. And they come to find out nobody does anything for 24 hours straight. Maybe in college you drank for 24 hours straight, but you don't remember anything. And like, I wish I hadn't done it. So we've done maybe about 35 of these 24-hour events. And all we do, you have to do something hard. It really doesn't matter because, like you were saying, Taylor, you go from excitement to settling in how stupid this is. And then you get the epiphany. So we started about 8:30 in the morning and go till 8:30 the next morning. And the light, or the epiphany, happens at between maybe 3 to 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Where the only thing that matters is you could have been on the brink of a divorce. You could have lost all your money. Everything can be falling apart in your life. You're like, oh my God. The only thing that really matters is get to the next tree. I don't care if I look bad. It doesn't matter if it's raining anymore. The environment doesn't matter anymore. I'm just going to get to the next tree and stop listening to my own bullshit that I tell myself. And everybody that does the 24-hour, it's much more interactive than the 50-mile.
I bet.
And I had a guy that's done 20 of them with me.
Whoa.
Wow.
And he could buy everybody. He's probably worth $200 million.
Maybe he'll sponsor.
Like, why do you keep coming back? And he's like, this is the only time I get to be around authentic people.
Oh, yeah.
It happens at 3:00 in the morning. where
That's
people are just
incredible.
great. And I'm like, fuck, I hate it. I hate it until 3. Like I hate leading it. I hate going through it. I hate hearing all the reasons why people aren't great. And then all of a sudden at 3 a.m, that person that they've wanted to be shows up.
Yeah.
And my kids, all of my kids have done it. And my youngest boy has done 6 of them. And he goes, Dad, why does everybody complain? I'm like, I don't know, son.
Mm.
He goes, it's fun around 3 a.m. where people just stop complaining. That's how his brain looks at it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're nice. They're really nice people to be around at around 3 a.m. And anyway,
So what is your why? Why, after your decades of training with the SEALs and service and being in combat, why then did you develop this course for people who complain? Why do you continue
this
to
is the
do
one
this?
thing I regretted so why to me is the 6th most important thing. It's not the first.
Mm-hmm.
The first most important thing is that you got to know who you are. You got to own the I am conversation. Second most important, and it will lead to me answering the why. So I have an answer, but I got to predicate it.
Hey,
It's
listen,
okay.
we're sticking with it.
I'm
We're
here for
sticking
the
with it,
journey.
Tom.
The
We're not
second
quitting.
one, so like if I fit in the physical or health space, if I say I'm a runner, I have to say I'm a runner all the time. If I in a relational space, I have to say I'm one with Stacy. So that's my I am statement. The second thing is you got to have a measurement or a metric of that. It's like you have to have goals. You have to know who you are and have goals. The third element of that is you have to know what you need in life. And without getting into a 5-hour dissertation, you have to know that there's things that you need that are not negotiable. The fourth one is you have to have partners associated with your goal. So if I'm a mountain biker, jump to number 4, I have to have a coach. In any endeavor in life, if you don't have a coach, you're not going to get there. So I call them partners. The fifth one is I have to figure out how this is going to happen. So if I need to learn if I'm a guitarist, my goal is to play some song in a month. There's things that I need, like a fucking guitar. I need a guitar. And I have to get a coach. And then how do I do this? So I always say you have to break things down into 3 simple things, which became now a mantra. And jumping to, like, if I'm a mountain biker, I have to mountain bike. I have to work out every day that ends in Y. Relative to being a mountain biker, then I have to take care of my body. I have to be flexible, and I have to eat right. If you just do that athletically, you're a maestro. If I have a coach, there's things that I need to do. This is how I need to do it. I need to work out, stretch, and eat right. Dude, you will get there, guaranteed. So now jump into number 6. The only time why comes up is when you're hitting obstacles. Why is the cursory outlay of when you don't think it's possible anymore. The only time people ask why is when they have doubt. And the only answer to the why question is because I fucking said I would.
Ooh.
If you can answer it, I'm married to Stacy. Why? If I say because she has nice boobs, that's on Monday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So people try to answer their why first.
You could have just said a nice smile, Tom.
Well,
Nice hair, good
that's fine.
hair.
Whatever. People remember my better than. So literally, if you know who you are, first, why am I doing this? Because I said I would. Why am I leading men in combat? If I don't know who we are as a unit, the answer is this is the stupidest shit in the world. Why are we going after the Taliban? They don't care about us. The nation doesn't care about us. So the answer that really alleviates all strain is because I said I would. And if you have that answer, you are demonstrably a different human being. I'm here because I said I'd be here. I'm going to do this hard thing again. I'm going to risk my life because I said this is who I am. And it may not be what you anticipated me saying. Like, I don't have this flowery answer.
No. I'm like you. True. Again, this goes back to us being very black and white thinkers, right? We don't really need to come up with a very elaborate. This is why in my childhood I blah blah blah. I can't put all of that in there, but ultimately it comes down to I said I would do it.
Yep.
And your word
I'm
is
playing
either
the
your
guitar
bond
because I
or
like
it's
to play
not.
the guitar.
Yeah.
That's on Monday. On Tuesday, I don't want to
You're
play
so
anymore.
obsessed with guitars, Tom. I don't know
Because they're
why.
in my face. I'm looking at them.
There are a few guitars in the,
There's
I
some.
think in the studio that you think, I mean, because it would be a little bit crazy if I was in the studio. There would be guitars all around. It would look a little crazy.
John plays guitar too, yeah. But I do like that. I do like that mindset that because I said because right now, like here's my self-talk, right? I was like, okay, I'll get your butt out of bed and start going to the gym because you like you said, there's these negotiable, unnegotiable have tos, right?
Yep.
To be who I need to be and to function. I know these things about myself. I need to eat right. I need to sleep. I need to exercise. There's consequences if I don't do these things. But I slacked off, unlike D, all the above. And so slowly I've been trying to get myself back into it. And the exercise, finding the motivation for the exercise has been hard because I say I'll do it later in the day. And then conveniently things just pop up and I don't get to it. And I'm like, that's okay. I'll do it tomorrow. And this is where you live in my head and why I wanted to bring you on because I'm like, every day since I met you back at Keto Summit, like years ago, get out of bed and do 21 push-ups. Do it every day for 21 days. And I'm like, I could do that if I wanted to. Have I done it? Not once. Not once, Tom. No. But I could if I wanted to. But the self-talk this week has been like, all right, get out of bed at 3:30, get to the gym by 4, put in your time and be done with it. And then right the night before, I'm like, oh, I don't want to get up at 3:30 in the morning.
I get it.
What if I just like
It's like we were sold the wrong things.
what if I just like, say that I can't because I'm meeting somebody. So there's that too. I'd be letting them down, and
Self-sabotage, Taylor. It's if I know I need to get up
at 6. It's not human to work out at that hour.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to have to do something at 7. I can't get to the gym because I got to be back here for 6:30. It's we're brilliant at self-sabotaging. It's both physically and mentally how we do that.
But it's funny. It's like if I can make it as hard as possible, I'm more likely to stick to it than if I make it routine. Like every day at noon, I'll go to the gym. I'm not going to stick to that. But if I do it like I have to get out at 3:30 a.m. in the morning and go to the gym, I'm more likely to do that and be successful.
Like everything has this weird structure to it. Like there's a design pretty much to everything. Not being a guitarist, there's probably a design to making good music. Really. I don't know what the hell it would be, but
I'm still learning myself.
The circle of fifths. It's the thing that all musicians learn. Circle of fifths. It's very hard to go wrong with
not all musicians, but we'll go ahead and let you have that.
So there's a design to this motivation self-talk, and part of that design is motivation is what people need when they're not committed. If you're committed, I don't care if I'm motivated. So if you learn commitment, you don't have to learn motivation. If you never learn commitment, you have to structure everything around motivation and self-talk. And that's kind of a fleeting way to live if you require to be motivated to engage at a high level. If you learn commitment and the structure of that, motivation is never needed. I don't want to, gosh, what would motivate me? gosh, I don't really like her. If she engaged me more, that I would like her more. What would motivate her to like me more? And it's a weird loop of disaster. If you have commitment, all those things kind of fall out. And I would say that like 10% of the people learn what the structure of being committed is.
Right.
And then I call it the 80% of the people never learn commitment. So they require motivation. And motivation's so fleeting. The weather affects motivation. Gosh, I was so excited. I can't wait to go do X, Y, and Z today. I look outside, like in Omaha, I was there about a week and a half ago.
You watch your mouth.
It was 40 below. Oh my God, dude. Hey, no, I'm not interested anymore. Yep.
Yeah, I think I wasn't in Tampa. I don't know if we were here at the same time. If I'd known, I would have come out to see you, but
I
yeah.
have a beautiful woman that I'm doing training with out there now that had I not made the agreement to do it, I would just bailed. Like, oh, this is ridiculous. Getting out of the car at the parking area to walk across the street. I'm like, oh, hell no.
It burns all your skin and everything.
That was scary cold. That was not even right.
Yeah. I could sit and talk to you for hours. I really could.
You're amazing. Absolutely.
You know, I do need to read your book. I have wanted to read your book for a while. Here's the thing. I'm cheap. So like, I keep waiting
all
to
right,
just stumble
I'll send you a book. Okay.
Oh, shucks. Okay, that would be great. You could autograph it even.
Download the Audible book and have it read to you.
Tom, do you read the book, Tom?
I did not read that one. I had it was bought by a publisher called Little Brown.
Okay.
And they had it professionally edited. That was
I
kind
get
of
so
before.
annoyed by those books because if I'm distracted the least bit by your voice, I'm just annoyed. I'm not even listening to the story now. I'm just listening to how you say cat or big or something like that.
Anyway, I think he did a really good job. And second book, I had a guy that had a great voice do the voiceover, and he did a good job. But
what's the second? So one is
Three Simple Things is the second one.
Yeah.
What's the first one?
Unbreakable, Navy SEAL's Way of Life.
Unbreakable. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I had written it under Spartan Woman, and Little Brown said, nobody's going to read a book about strong women. Can we change the title? I'm like, I don't know how things are sold. I don't care. You guys do whatever you want. And so.
So how would people then, so you're on Amazon. I know your books are on Amazon because I saw those. What about the Unbreakable course? If somebody was interested in finding that, what should they do?
So our website is thomshea.com, THOMSHEA.com. And then we have an online training that are the how to learn the 13 lessons from Unbreakable it's on unbreakablelessons.com.
Amazing.
Unbreakablelessons.com. Look at that. I'm getting the hang of this podcast though, guys.
That's all. You do better than I've never figured out how to do it.
I'm getting pretty good. I'm getting pretty good.
Really 2 deep or 3 deep, whatever.
Too deep. We've got a roller banner on the bottom.
Yeah, I can't even do that.
And then if we're rolling through Greenville, Tom, can I hit you up and go hello and
yeah, absolutely. I have a great work schedule. I work probably 3 days a week.
Love it.
One of my mentors said, here's what I want to teach you to do. Do a sprint, like work really hard, and then do a 3-day week.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, there's no way to do that. And he goes, I make $1 billion a year. I do it because I have life.
Yeah. I
don't work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you have to get up the hill, but to maintain things at a high level, you can't overwork yourself. And not that I actually work a 3-day week. Sometimes they're more, but
so
I treasure my life more than I do the money to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time and connecting with you again, Tom. I am interested in your challenge. I'm just too broke to do your challenge. That's my excuse. I can't afford it. Sorry. I do it, but I can't. I know. I'm a
flight here. We'll give you the sponsor.
Oh God, he's gonna make it free. No, that's just asking too much. My pride. I can't.
All right, 22 cents. That's what it's worth.
I'll do it if John does it. If John does it with me, I'll do
I get a silver, like a real silver dollar, and bring it to me.
it. I so admire you, and I'm so grateful that I connected with you, and honored that you would just even entertain me on this podcast. Again, I do this because I want to bring inspiration to other people. There's always one person listening. If one person is impacted by this, that's fantastic. I think you offer such valuable wisdom, and I know you kind of joke and about that stuff, but you're all over YouTube with Warrior Wisdom Bites and stuff. And just there are days where I get you inside my head, just pop it in there, and I'm all like, okay, I can get my act together now, because it's about how I want to be seen in the world and how I want to feel about myself when I'm dying. And I want to be proud of that person. And I am proud. I'm very proud of
Awesome.
where I am in life and who I am. But there's that little bit of me that's like, okay, are we going to be better today than we were yesterday? What can we do differently? And that's just always where my mindset is let's just be a little bit better than yesterday. Because I do slide back sometimes, just because, like I said, I'm lazy. There's balance there.
You're not lazy. You see, you said I am.
Designed
No, I am.
laziness.
I can define laziness, and I can be very lazy.
Call it. I like my me time.
I like my me time.
There you go.
John, do you have anything else for Mr. Thom Shea here?
Well, first of all, massive apologies. I have to say apologies for showing up 8 minutes late. That is terrible. My dad's U.S. Marine Corps Colonel retired. He's gonna kick my butt.
We're all disappointed.
I know everybody's a little bit disappointed, but Tom, I find you're like I've learned so much just by sitting here and listening to you today. I'm going to take away. I'm going to sit down with my kids tonight. We have our family supper. I'm going to take you through, and I'm going to do the 21 days of 21 push-ups, and I'll let you know how I got on, because I
want video proof every day.
We'll do it. I mean, I may not get to 21 push-ups, but I'm going to try to get to 21 push-ups.
You hear this excuses already, Tom.
I hear it. That's what I do for a living.
No, I am
do
going
one, then do another, then do another.
Exactly.
By the way, if you just do one, so a push-up takes about 2 seconds.
Yep.
Take 4 seconds to recover.
Yep.
It still takes less than 3 minutes.
Exactly. I'm going to do it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to do. I won't be able to on the first day. There's no way I'm going to be able to do 21 straight away. But I'm going to do 21 push-ups for 21 days. That is my commitment. That is my commitment from this podcast, and I'm gonna let you know how I get on.
Awesome.
Thom Shea, would you like me to ruin movies for you?
To do
go
what?
look up some movies John Schwab's in for you, because the second you see him on screen, it's not even a movie anymore. He just ruins it every time he walks in on screen. I'm just kidding. That's what I say. I'm like, that's just John. That's not even a real movie now. That's just John.
You're in that new movie that's out right now.
Masters of the Air.
I'm in Masters of the Air. I come in in the final episode. It's great because Tom, spoiler alert, my entrance. If you don't want to know how I entered, but in the final, one of the final scenes of that, I'm in it during the last episode, but my last kind of scene in it, I ride into a prisoner of war camp on a Sherman tank, and it was the most fun I think I've ever had. I mean, it was freezing cold. Talk about freezing. It was cold, but what are you going to do? Like riding in on a proper Sherman tank, jumping off the front, telling the Nazis to piss off. I'm taking my men home. It was fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's also in like Zero Dark 30 and
Yeah.
Queen's Gambit and the.
Where are you on the Queen's Gambit?
I play her. I play a guy called Mr. Booth. He's her handler in Moscow. Tom, I like to turn up in the final episodes, and I'm very good landing gear.
Not true. Not true. Because in Jurassic World, he's in the very first one.
Oh, okay. I'm a very
awesome.
In Jurassic World, right there. First scene. Boom.
What, do you die in every movie? That's
I'm very good at dying.
He got eaten. Spoiler alert. He got eaten by the dinosaur.
Yeah. I did.
I love this guy, John. He is my pal. We go all the way back to school in Okinawa together.
Yeah.
So as you were talking about Iwo Jima and stuff,
My
Yeah.
grandfather
Okay.
was on a ship outside Iwo Jima, and he was a Navy veteran. He fought in the Korean War as well.
Mm.
And yeah, so when you mentioned Iwo Jima and Okinawa, like it was just that was my grandfather's kind of
Yep.
realm in the Pacific.
Mm,
Yep. All right.
It's
yeah.
great stuff.
Well, Tom, we will be holding John accountable to his 21 push-ups.
I'm gonna do it.
Okay. And then the next step will be we will sign up for Tom's course. You want to do 24 hours, John? Let's see what you're
Yeah,
made of.
I just
Bring
think, you know what? That sounds like an amazing bucket list.
It's the end of March. It's not.
Oh,
so
I'm booked. I have a cruise. Sorry, can't make it.
Okay. And then there's one in the fall. So
Is there one in September?
yeah.
Mm,
My birthday's in
I
September.
keep saying no, but yes, they'll probably do another one.
Okay.
Yep.
well, awesome. You guys, I've enjoyed so much spending today with you and talking. And let's just for the record here for the What is Your Why soundbite, because I said so. Thom Shea, what is your why for what you do, from joining the Navy SEALs to your Unbreakable Leadership course to writing your book? What is your why?
Because I promise to be the best version of myself.
I love it.
I love that.
Because I said so. I love it.
love it.
That's my takeaway today, and that's where I'm going to go and ponder life there, because I said so. You guys are awesome. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the people who joined us today, for your viewership, following, whether it's you saw us live or you're watching this later. But please go check out Thom Shea, his 3 Simple Things book, his the Unbreakable Leadership. Go to YouTube, check him out there. And also, let's plug your wife here for a second. What is she starting here? Is she doing a podcast?
Well, she's
or?
starting a what's called, well, we don't know the name, but she's going to cook on social media.
Nice. Stacy
And
Shea as well.
Stacey
The
Shea.
Shays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Rock star name. That is
They're
a rock
power
star
couple.
name if there ever was one.
They're a power couple. They are a power couple. And as badass as this Navy SEAL guy is here, I would be more scared of her, though. You know how that is, right? It's not the Marine you're scared of. It's his wife.
It's
like,
the wife.
It's the mom.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And I look forward to connecting with you guys again. Thank you, John.
All right,
Thank
see
you,
y'all.
Tom. Bye-bye. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of What is Your Why? And again, we are here today to just, spread inspiration. And I'm just introducing you to people who inspire me. And Tom is just one of those people. Like I said, I met him at Keto Summit a couple of years ago and just got really motivated by hearing his stories and him sharing his experience. And I'm just constantly one of those people, constantly seeking ways to improve myself and be a better human. And so I hope today you found some inspiration in that as well. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.